This mix was sent in by Ian.
I never thought I'd see the day when I'd make promises. Yet once I met you, I changed my view.
I do. The biggest thing I'm noticing right now is your kick drum has like 0 low end.
Living life unnoticed felt so safe and comfortable. But with you, my life feels so brand new. We're gonna conquer the world together. You know I'll stand by your side forever. My heart is yours to hold. You have my vow. 'Cause we're in this together now.
Overall, man, it's sounding a little scooped. Like, you have a good amount of top end, and like the top end does sound well balanced. I'll give you that, but like you're definitely missing a lot in the mid range. It doesn't sound very full. And I feel like with the low end, we have like a lot of sub stuff, but we're missing a lot of the low mids as well. But like the kick drum especially is missing a ton of low end. But like the bass is missing a little bit of low mids. The guitar is missing a little bit of low mids. Like you can definitely fill a lot of that back in.
Time I've been alone, so deep in shadows. Loneliness was all I ever knew. But somehow you showed me so much more there is to life. And I just want to share it all with you. We're gonna conquer the world together. You know I'll stand by your side forever. My heart is yours to hold. You have my vow. 'Cause we're in this together now. We'll never break even under the pressure. Our love is something that no one can measure. My heart is yours to hold. You have my vow.
All right, man, I'm just going to guess that you have a huge monitoring issue when you're hearing way too much low end in your space. Either that or you just can't hear the low end at all. Because everything from like 200 hertz and then all the way up to the top, like all the way up to 20K, you've done a pretty good job of balancing all that. Like I said, the mid-range is a little bit scooped. Like it's not crazy over scooped. You haven't completely gutted it, but it's a little scooped. I would probably fill a little bit of that back in. But overall, 200 and up is really well balanced, but you're missing a ton of low end. Like everything below 200 is almost non-existent, and it makes the whole thing sound really weird. Like most songs are going to have a lot more low end, like in general, below 200. Just the way that most mixes are done, everything below 200 is actually a little bit louder than everything else, but you're just like missing almost everything below 200 hertz, like especially in the kick drum, but also in the bass, and you've definitely rolled off the low end of the guitars too much. Like you're just missing a ton of low end below 200 hertz. So again, I don't know if it's that you just can't hear below that at all, so you tried to not touch it, or if it's because you hear way too much of it in your space and you cut a lot of it out. But you definitely need to look into that and figure out what's going on there. Because again, everything from 200 and up is pretty well balanced overall. A little too scooped in the mid-range for me, but like it's pretty well balanced, but everything below 200 is just a huge problem. There's nothing there. I'm going to be straight with you guys. My hearing's a little off today. I'm a little bit congested, so I'm not 100% confident in anything that I just said. So just in case, here's how I made this sound better.
World together, you know I'll stand by your side forever. My heart is yours to hold. You have my vow. 'Cause we're in this together now. Sometime I've been alone, so deep in shadows. Loneliness was all I ever knew. But somehow you showed me so much more there is to life. And I just want to share it all with you. We're gonna conquer the world together.
was sent in by Ben.
This is Commissioner Gordon. There's been a breach in Arkham Asylum. All hands on red alert. The Joker's at large.
Listen up, people, wipe off those frowns. You need a little action, send in the clowns. Let me introduce you to the resident freaks. Welcome into Arkham, don't mind the shrieks.
All right, man, it's feeling a little smiley face EQE. Like, we have a lot of boomy low end going on. Like, shit in the low end is really, really muddy. And then we have quite a bit of top end stuff, like, especially like high mid range. But it feels like there's very, very little going on, like, in the actual mid range from like I said, it's a little muddy. So, like, you definitely have the bass at least up to like probably about 300 hertz, but the guitar is missing a lot of the low end. It feels like you scooped a lot of the low end out of the guitar and the bass especially. The vocal still sounds pretty full, but like it's not enough to make up for what's missing from the mid-range here.
We're long, long gone from what is normal. Until dawn, dawn comes, we'll be immortal. We're more than suits and funny names. We've been to hell and back. We're victims in a bloody game, baked in red, we bet black. We're problems got them solving for. We're
Yeah, man, you're missing a lot in the low mids. You definitely cut too much out of the guitar in the like 150 to 400 hertz range. The bass, it feels like you took out a lot in like the 500 to 800 hertz range. You're also missing a lot of top end. Like, again, there's a little bit in the vocals, there's a little bit in the drums, but like nothing else is really filling in above like 5K. It's like you have so much focus between like 800 hertz and like 5K, and then again below 200 hertz, like you have a massive wall of low end. But between like 200 and 800, you've cut a lot out, and then above 5K, you've cut a lot out. So it sounds empty, it sounds weird. You definitely got to fill the mid-range back in, and you got to add a little bit more top end, and you also need to clean up the low end by like doing some EQ carving on certain things, like especially the low end of the bass is really overpowering. It's definitely fighting with the kick drum, and even the low end of the snare could probably be cleaned up a little bit. But in general, it feels like you just over EQ'd things for the most part is your biggest problem here. I'm gonna be straight with you guys. My hearing's a little off today. I'm a little bit congested, so I'm not 100% confident in anything that I just said. So just in case, here's how I made this sound better.
Cause we're long, long gone from what is normal. Until dawn, dawn comes, we'll be immortal. We're more than suits and funny names. We've been to hell and back. We're victims in a bloody game, baked in red, we bet black. We're problems got them solving for. We're rebels with no cause. We're stalking crime's revolving door. All we ever wanted was to freak out. Freak out. Gotham City, make some noise for the meanest, leanest, rude, and obscenest criminals the city's ever seen. The Rogues. We're long, long gone from what is normal. Until dawn, dawn comes, we'll be immortal. We're more than suits and funny names. We've been to hell and back. We're victims in a bloody game, baked in red, we bet black. We're problems got them solving for. We're rebels with no.
This mix was sent in by Christian.
Do you think she wants me? Or was it just a smile at a curtain saying we locked up?
All right, vocals are a little buried. Those definitely need to come up more. Honestly, probably the guitars are just too loud and they're fighting with that. The guitars, you cut out way too much low mids. Like, it sounds really thin. You're kind of filling that back in with the bass a little bit, but I definitely would add a little bit more low end back into the guitar than there currently is. You also need to EQ the reverb on the vocals a little bit. It's kind of making the vocals a little muddy. It's making it a little difficult to understand what the vocals are saying. They're cutting through a little bit better in this section, but in general, the vocals definitely need to cut through more. Honestly, the vocals don't really sound polished enough. Like, that could be an EQ thing, that could be a compression thing, but they sound like they don't quite fit with everything else. And then the low end of the guitar, you definitely need to add more low end back into the guitar. But those are like my main points here, is really just the low end of the guitar and the way that the vocals are sitting in it. Bass could maybe come up a little bit, but that might be helped if the guitar just comes down, just because right now just the bass and the guitar sound really separate. That's probably a combination of how loud the guitar is and how much low end is missing from the guitar. I'm gonna be straight with you guys. My hearing's a little off today. I'm a little bit congested, so I'm not 100% confident in anything that I just said. So just in case, here's how I made this sound better.
Was it just a smile at a curtain when we locked eyes? But it's fine, Do you think she noticed me walking past her down the hall? Or how my tongue tied when I tried to say hello? I've got time again, but it always comes back down to when I will light up and bite the bullet. Get a firm grip on the splintered bullet. Do you think she wants me? Or was it just a smile at a curtain when we locked eyes? But it's fine, Do you think she noticed me leaning up against the wall? Or how my foot slipped and I had to stop the fall? Think she wants me? Or was it just a smile at a curtain when we locked eyes? But it's fine, Do you think she noticed me leaning up against the wall? Or how my foot slipped and I had to stop the fall? Think she wants me? Or was it just a smile at a curtain when we locked eyes? But it's fine, Do you think she noticed me leaning up against the wall? Or how think she wants me? Or was it just a smile at a curtain when we locked eyes? But it's fine, Do you think she noticed me leaning up against the wall? Or how my foot slipped and I had to stop the fall?
This mix was sent in by Brad. So far, the bass sounds a little bit muddy. I think part of that is the time effects that you have on everything. There's a lot of reverb going on that could probably be cleaned up. We're missing a lot of low end out of the kick drum that might be helped by fixing the balance of some things. Like I feel like the drums in general are a little too quiet. The guitar is definitely too loud. The bass is probably at a good volume, but I would turn the guitars down and the drums up. The top end of the snare is maybe a little overpowering. So when you especially when you bring the drums up, you're probably gonna need to take a little more top end out of the snare. But in general, it feels like you're missing low end from everything except for the bass, and it feels like you cut a little too much out of the mid range as well in the guitar. Honestly, man, it seems like you cut a lot of 1K out of everything, which is probably just why this feels so weird right now. 1K is like the center of the spectrum of human hearing. Like that's a really important frequency. If you've taken a ton of 1K out of everything, like everything's going to sound weird. It's going to sound empty. That's probably partially why things sound muddy, even though it feels like there's mostly only low end in the bass. It's just we're missing 1K is like a really big cut through frequency. It's like it's a little bit of presence. It's a little bit of just like in your face for everything. So when you've taken a lot of that out of the mix as a whole, everything feels kind of empty. So those are the main things. Like you got to add that 1K back in for sure because it seems like you took it out of almost everything. And then there's some definite balance issues that need to be fixed. You can maybe even add a little bit more top end above 5K in the overall mix, but like those are the main things that are sticking out to me here. I'm going to be straight with you guys. My hearing's a little off today. I'm a little bit congested, so I'm not 100% confident in anything that I just said. So just in case, here's how I made this sound better.